Now, this week's guest is one of my top girl crushes, someone I've admired since I started following her during the pandemic, and I've been so thrilled to see her achieve her dreams. It's 6 o'clock show presenter and all-round babe, Katja Mia. Yay. Welcome. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I love how you say "in love" in the movie.
Yes.
I love that.
Because it's actually it's a Nora Ephron quote. She always says, what's the point of being in love? I want to be in love in a movie.
I'm so here for it. 'Cause everyone talks about movie moments all the time and like what they look for in a partner. It's like someone in their favourite rom-com. So yeah, this is a good note to start on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you're a relatively newly engaged woman, so you're full of love.
Yeah.
And you were just telling me off camera that you're going to have a big engagement due.
Girl, yes. So the engagement, we had a little engagement party in a pub here in Dublin, and I'm like, yeah, that's grand, that's done. When my mom calls me up and she wants to throw us like a whole traditional engagement. So I would have grown up going to these traditional engagements. For people that don't know, I'm from Burundi. So like the traditional engagement in there is a way bigger deal than the white wedding.
Really?
Yeah. So they go all out. Like they're Burundian drummers, they're Burundian dancers. Like you wear the traditional clothes. And Dara's never been to Burundi before.
He hasn't been
anywhere
at all
in Africa in his life. So
it's going to be a
really
baptism of fire for him.
Yes.
Amazing.
I'm so here from his little family from Ashburn. They're going to love it.
At least he gets to meet everyone all at once.
Yeah.
I'm like, just throw him in the deep end.
All
the
family. And they're mad to meet him. And it's funny because he'll be like the only white person there. And I'm like, yeah, you'll know how I feel now. It's going to be so cool.
The tables have turned. But then are you going to have a big Irish wedding then? Is that the plan?
We're going to have a destination wedding.
Oh, nice.
Actually. Yeah, with like a bunch of our friends and like family who can travel. But that's not anytime soon. Yeah. So
they're expensive.
This is the first hurdle.
Yeah.
And then we'll deal with that next year.
That's so exciting though.
Yeah,
it's
we're
such
buzzing.
a lovely time. Like when I got engaged, I was like, people are so nice to you.
Aren't they?
It's the best. Everyone's so happy for you. Yeah, it's
like
so
we
lovely.
got flowers. There was like endless alcohol.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It lasted for about 2 months. And
It
then,
does.
Yeah.
I remember after about a week, I had really bad heartburn. I was like, it's all the Prosecco. Everyone's just spoiling us with Prosecco, but it's such a lovely time.
It's the
And
best
your ring
time.
is stunning.
Thank you.
He did good.
He
The
did.
Guinness Guru did good. For
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't know, Katja's fella is YouTube famous for being a Guinness Guru.
Oh yeah. Well, like that, the ring. It was 7 years of being with him, so
Yeah,
I felt
he
like
knew.
I kind of deserved
You
it.
did deserve it. Of course you deserved it. And come here, how is work going for you?
Oh, it's great. Like it's been so busy. We were just talking off air that we've had such amazing guests on the show. We're celebrating 10 years of the 6 o'clock show on the
Really?
17th of February.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So myself and Brian Darling are only on for a year. Like we celebrated our year anniversary in November. So yeah, it's great that we get to be part of those celebrations.
Was it the 7 o'clock show first?
Yes, that's how
'Cause I
it
was like,
started.
It's been around that long. I remember. Okay, amazing.
Yeah, like it moved from like a lunchtime show to like a 7 o'clock show with Martin King and Lucy Kennedy, and then obviously went through all the presenters, became the 6 o'clock show,
And now it's stuck in at 6 o'clock.
Now it's me and Brian Monday
I'm
through
so
Friday.
delighted for you because I remember when I first met you, you were like, I'm going to be a TV presenter. I'm going to be the next Catherine Thomas. And look at you, like literally like 3 years later.
I know Catherine Thomas was like my girls.
Oh, she's amazing.
all the time. But yeah, because when we did the Stellar magazine cover,
you were my one to watch for 2022 and I got it right.
It was amazing. You were such a huge part of that, and like I'll never forget that day. And
it was so fun.
When we were chatting, I was like, I'm putting an aspiring presenter in my bio just so I can manifest it.
And look at you.
And here we are.
But you were kind of on your way. You'd won that Maya Jama competition to host a podcast. So you had your goals and you'd like given up your finance job and you were
it
like
was slowly coming to life. Yeah, it was just
slowly
had to be
being lured
patient.
into the Irish media, which happens
and
to the
now
best
I'm
of
stuck
us.
and I'm here forever.
Yes, amazing. Well, you're playing a blinder.
Thanks.
Now you have an honour that the film that you have chosen I had never seen before.
I was shocked when you told me that.
I know. I don't know why, because I literally any kind of rom-com I will watch.
Yeah.
So I think it was just, I was saying to you before, it's like I'm the same age as Amanda Bynes, so I don't know. I thought she was a bit uncool or a bit Nickelodeon or something at the time. But tell us, what film have you chosen?
I chose What a Girl Wants.
And it has nothing to do with the Christina Aguilera song, does it?
I was shocked to find that. Yeah, I googled it today.
Maybe we couldn't get the rights to use it.
Maybe, because that song came out in 1999 and the movie's from 2003.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it would have been perfect if that was the theme song.
Honestly, probably couldn't
Obsessed with that
afford it
song.
because they are expensive.
True.
To buy. Even to buy a song lyric to put in a book It's extremely expensive.
Really?
Yeah, like, you know,
is it like paying
dedications,
royalties?
yeah, you have to pay. Like, I wanted to put a poem in my next novel, and they wanted so much money. I was like, no, you're grand, I'll write my own poem. So I had to write my own poem.
Well, that's how
So now
all
I'm a
these
poet.
retired singers and performers are
They make
staying
that
rich.
money, honey.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So the film is What a Girl Wants from 2003. The director is a guy called Denny Gordon, and he was like a seasoned TV director, and he's literally directed an episode of every show you've ever watched.
Really?
From like Dawson's Creek to 30 Rock. Like,
Wow.
he has done obviously a few Law and Orders, because everyone does Law and Order.
Law and Order,
Sex and the
SVU.
City, everything. Like, Denny Gordon is a TV guy, and he's basically just gone back to that, so still working as a TV director. And I think it does kind of show in the film, it does have a Nickelodeon vibe to it.
Yeah.
But it was produced by Warner Brothers, and just from my own research, I think they were trying to go after the Princess Diaries and the Parent Trap audience, because they'd been so successful for Disney, and they were trying to make a Lindsay Lohan or an Anne Hathaway out of Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
But it just didn't really take off, and I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe it was just the production values weren't quite there. But we shall delve in.
It does feel a little bit Nickelodeon in a way. And I go back and I think, right, 2003. I probably watched it maybe in 2004, 2005. Like,
Tell me how old you were back then. Make me sick.
So in 2006, I was 10. So I
Okay.
probably watched it at the age of like 9 or 10.
Right. So that's why you love it.
That's probably why I love it so much. And I have an older sister, Andrea, and she was like the queen of like movies and videotapes at home. So if there was like a movie on RT2 or TV3, she'd get a blank cassette and like record. She'd do some wizardry shit and like record it, and then we'd have like a movie to watch.
I love that.
So I think that's how it came about. Like, it must have been on telly.
Yeah.
And then she'd recorded it, and then we always used to like watch our favorite films. So I think that's why I loved it, because I was just like a young girl that was probably fantasizing about like a Prince Charming or whatever, and just love these kind of tweeny movies.
Yeah.
And it's a comfort space for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, we always say that with rom-coms, when you watch a rom-com, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And it's a like a very small commitment for a lot of comfort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unlike a book where you have to kind of invest time in it.
Yeah, it's like you can kind of check your phone here and there and watch the movie.
And it's a nice film because it's, as much as it's about like a teeny romance, it's also about like the love between a dad and a daughter, which is just,
I think that's why I love it, because I'm such a daddy's girl.
We're both daddy's girls. So, and your dad is so adorable. I love him. Whenever he's on your Instagram, I'm like, he's so cute.
He's a dote.
And he lives in Germany, right?
Yeah, I always get replies on my stories when I leave him in the airport. He always drops me, because there's really good trains, and I'm like, Dad, I can just get like a little train to the airport, but he'll buy a ticket to get the train just to see me off right at the point where no one that isn't flying can pass, and he just waves until he doesn't see me anymore, and it's so cute. And everyone's like, your dad, like, I'm sobbing, your dad's so cute. So I think that's why, because like we're such daddy's girls at home, that when I watch the movie and Colin Firth plays Amanda Bynes' dad in this film, and it's just such a little gorgeous story.
It is lovely. When I was watching, I was like, she's a daddy's girl, for sure, which I already knew about you, but for sure. So Amanda Bynes stars as Daphne. It's her first starring role after her movie debut in 2002's Big Fat Liar, which I also haven't seen. I think maybe in 2002 and 3 I was just too cool for these films, perhaps. And she obviously starred in The Amanda Show on Nickelodeon, which I do remember for its very annoying theme song, which just said Amanda over and over again. Amanda. It was terrible. Jesus. But this film was written by a woman called Jenny Bix, and she was a producer on Sex and the City. So she has form. And then another lady called Elizabeth Chandler helped her adapt it, and she adapted the Sisterhood of the Travelling Pants books for the screen as well. So this film is actually adapted from a 1955 play called The Reluctant Debutante, and it was made into a film in the 50s as well, with Angela Lansbury, the queen of Murder, She Wrote.
No way.
Yeah, and Sandra
Love
Dee,
her.
the good girl of cinema. So, it has form. It was a well-known film in its time, but this particular adaptation, it wasn't a commercial hit at all. I think it made its budget back and then maybe $10 million, which is for the rom-coms we talk about. They normally make 10 times their budget back. So Amanda Bynes is Daphne. Colin Firth is Henry, and he's in his classic British stiff upper lip mode. And he wasn't a big star in the States at this point. He'd done Bridget Jones, which was big in the UK. He'd done Pride and Prejudice, but he was far better known in the UK. This was before like Love Actually and Mamma Mia made him famous worldwide.
Such amazing movies.
It's a fairy story about a girl and her dad, really. So basically, Daphne has been raised by a single woman, her mum, called Libby, played by the late Kelly Preston, who is probably best known for being John Travolta's wife. And she was known at this point for Jerry Maguire as well, and a film called For the Love of the Game with my favourite Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
Big ride. And she's madly in love with Henry, who is a lord, and his devious, dastardly staff break them up, essentially.
They're terrible.
They're awful.
The lies. Because he kind of starts out as like this cool guy on his gap year in Morocco.
Yeah, he has long hair.
Yeah, long hair. They get loose shirt, they get married. And then when she comes to the UK and she discovers, okay, he's a lord, he's got a manor, and his staff, like...
They're horrible to her.
They lie to her and say that he has no interest in her anymore. She's pregnant and hasn't told him yet.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep the baby a secret.
I'm out.
I know. And then she raises Daphne on her own.
And they tell him that she left him for someone back home.
Yeah.
So he's like, bitch. And
I
she's
know.
Like, it's so dastardly.
Yeah.
And the baddie is actually Jonathan Pryce, who he's a very camp actor. Like I watched Tomorrow Never Dies, the James Bond with Pierce Brosnan, the other day, and he's the baddie in that.
Yeah.
And
He's
I just
in
feel
Game of
like
Thrones as well as a baddie
He's the
too.
High Sparrow in
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So he's just a really camp English baddie. Like, and yeah, he's dastardly. And his ploy then is to get Henry to basically marry his horrible daughter.
Yes.
Later on.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make Henry this like politician. You know, they want him to give up his seat in the House of Lords and become the Prime Minister, essentially.
Yeah, but that's not who he truly is. I feel like he's a bit of a free spirit.
He is. He had like a Moroccan wedding ceremony.
He was just calling to the obligations that his family had, and you could just tell that with the evil like mother-in-law or like his evil fiance and the stepdaughter.
Her daughter, yeah.
You could just tell they were in for it for like the
wrong
politics
reasons.
and the wrong reasons, exactly. And the staff member Alistair, his what's he called? What would he be called?
His aide.
His aide.
Yeah,
that's a fancy word for it.
Yeah.
His aide. He kind of lures his daughter and granddaughter into like the royal or aristocratic family.
And if anybody knows Four Weddings and a Funeral, the daughter, she plays, what's her name? Gwyneth or something like that. Glynis.
Yeah.
She plays the awful woman in Four Weddings and a Funeral that Hugh Grant nearly marries and then sees sense and doesn't. So she's really good at that kind of horrible
like
lady
typecast,
vibe. Yeah. She's like this nasty English lady that everyone's just glad that they didn't end up with. And her daughter is brilliant as being a little brat, basically.
I know. Did you see the stunt doubles for Harry and William and Prince Charles?
No.
They're great, and they look just like them.
Oh, the guys playing them in the film. Yeah, when William was better looking.
Yeah. Back when
in the
they
day.
were like 2000
you know what?
bodies.
How they treated Libby, the mom in this room, I was like, this is how they treated Meghan Markle. They just hate Americans coming in.
An outsider.
An outsider coming in.
I know.
It's crazy.
Messing up the bloodline.
Yeah, it's mad. But like, he wasn't even that important. Like, come on.
No.
He wasn't Prince or anything. Isn't he a
lord? Yeah.
So basically, Amanda has grown up, her character Daphne has grown up knowing that she has this posh English dad, but never having met him. And her mom tells her about him, but...
Which I think is honourable.
It is honourable.
She always had a picture of him, and every year she'd like look at it on her birthday.
They kind of romanticise him a little bit too much.
Yeah,
but
because he's still a deadbeat dad in a little way. But he didn't know.
As far as she's concerned,
yes,
he is.
Yeah, she thinks he is.
But she's a cater waiter at weddings. Well, their mom is a singer at, and she always watches the like daddy daughter dance and her little heartbreaks, and you feel really bad for her.
Stop.
So one day she just decides that she's like going to find him, and she actually just like runs away from New York. She's just like, bye mom, I'm 17, I'm going to find my dad, and turns up in London, and there's loads of like really silly like Cockney rhyming slang, and it's a bit cringe. But she meets a cute guy the second she arrives in London, of course.
Yes, Ian.
The worst name ever for a romantic hero.
I know,
Ian.
and he doesn't look like an Ian, and he's a little musician and a receptionist.
He's cute.
He's so cute. I feel like he was in a lot of those kind of
He was in a Hilary Duff movie as well.
He what's that called? The music movie with Hilary Duff. I forget what it's called, but he was just part of that era, kind of like a Taylor Lautner vibe.
Yes,
like
and
Cheaper
now
by the dozen.
Do you know what he does now?
What?
He's a psychiatrist.
No way.
He gave up. Yeah, acting.
Stop.
Yeah, he's now 42 years old and works as a therapist.
Oh no way.
Yeah, on his little website, his little picture of himself. He's still hot.
That's so cute.
So cute.
He was always kind of gorgeous.
But he was obviously just not interested in the whole
he
fame
did
thing.
And
like,
Watson went to college.
And Amanda is no longer acting.
Yeah.
She retired. She technically retired in 2010, and then she had awful mental health issues.
So sad what happened to her, because she was a star.
She seems to be coming around now. She's out of her conservatorship.
Oh, amazing.
She was in a conservatorship for a long time, and she's an artist now. She's reinventing herself as an artist. So
that's amazing.
hope she's okay.
I mean, her TikToks used to come up during like the pandemic, and like everyone would just be having a bit of fun with them, because she's like talking to her audience, and she does not look like she's her.
Yeah,
It's
she
like,
went through a really rough time.
Yeah. It was really sad because she was such a star. And I remember I was a fan of a couple of her films. I loved She's the Man with Channing Tatum.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good. It just reminds me again of my childhood with me and my younger sister.
Is
Fiona.
that where she's pretending to be a fella so she can play football?
Yeah, she's pretending to be her twin brother because apparently the girls' football team can't apply for scholarships or something. So she goes to her brother's private school and has like a wig, and she's boarding with these two really, really gorge guys. Channing Tatum being one of them. It's just so funny. Like even the showers, she would time her showers differently. Have to wrap up her boobs.
Is it the type of film you wouldn't get away with now?
Yeah, you wouldn't get it. No, there's a lot of films you wouldn't get away with now.
So many, and
then.
we talk about all of them on this podcast. But part of me thinks that's why rom-coms aren't as successful anymore, because they're all very careful.
Yeah,
which is a good thing in many ways, but also like you kind of. I always say the best rom-coms are a bit fucked up.
I know.
You know,
you can't be too woke.
No, not romantic.
Not when you're making movies.
No, exactly. No. So on Rotten Tomatoes, this film only has 36%, and the critical consensus was little girls will definitely enjoy it, but it's too syrupy and predictable for adults.
Little girls. Yeah,
little girls.
So when I say this is a rom-com to watch, maybe if you have kids,
yeah, exactly,
watch it with them.
It's definitely kid appropriate, so that's good, because a lot of the films we recommend are not. But it like I said, it is more about the dad-daughter relationship. So she fecks off to London. She's staying in a hostel. She just happens upon his like palatial family home and is like, "Hi, you're my dad." And he thinks she's a journalist, so he's like trying to get rid of her.
He's like, "Get your picture and go."
Yeah,
but then she has a picture already.
Has a picture of him
and her birth cert. She came with receipts.
She came with
and do you know what? I love how she was just roaming around London and stopped and found the manor and just went in. Like she happened to have her birth cert on her at all times.
I'd say exactly.
Just in case she bumps into her dad. Yeah. And the first time she even lays eyes on her dad is on like BBC News in the hostel that she's staying in.
Yeah. And she's like, so that's just my dad.
It's so like that just wouldn't happen.
No,
right?
Absolutely not. She wouldn't get near him.
Yeah.
Especially if he was like in the House of Lords. Like they have protection.
Absolutely.
But the aid guy wants to get rid of her straight away. He's like, she's a loud and obnoxious American. She's going to make a show of us. And Colin Firth is like, no, she'd be grand. Yeah. And then she is a loud American.
She is, exactly what it says on the tin. Yeah. And I love how the grandmother always saw like a bit of her family in her. She's like, you can stay. Like she stays in the manor and everything. And she goes shooting with the grandmother, and the stepdaughter kind of has that bit of jealousy.
Oh, she's so jealous. Yeah. But she also is like, I need to keep her on side at the same time.
Yeah.
But there's so many really funny quotes, like really silly, like about her being American. So like, and the Englishisms are actually so funny as well. So I just have a list of quotes here. Yeah. One is, "Oh my giddy aunt." "Holy poo on toast."
Oh God.
"She can dump tea in my harbour anytime."
They really
a Boston Tea Party reference in a teen rom-com is quite ridiculous. Amazing. Like it's very of its time, shall we say.
Yeah.
But she is the cool, sexy American to all the fellow teenagers. They think she's really hot. Yeah. And like she's a vision. She's so 2003. She's
so confident.
Straightened hair, Lancome juicy tubes, low-rise jeans. And she is just a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
But it's like, it was also 2003. Like English people weren't in the dark ages, you know? It's like she has to come in and loosen them all up, and it's like, no, they were all right. Like, they didn't need you to do a dance routine.
Yeah, it does play into stereops a lot, doesn't it?
Big time.
Yeah,
like what are our two friends called? Like Peach and Pear, or something like that. Like the English it wasn't the 18th century. We weren't dealing with Jane Austen here, you know.
Thank you.
But it's, as the film goes on, it gets less kind of twee and it delves more into relationships. So what is really funny to me is what her and her dad have in common is Cocoa Pops.
I think
they both love Cocoa Pops,
and the way they butter their toast is the same as well.
And they have a few mannerisms, but like it's all focused around breakfast foods.
Yeah.
Oh, she must be my daughter. She likes Cocoa Pops. Like what? It works though. It shows the similarities between father and daughter, but they're warming to each other slowly. Mm-hmm. And that's with Glynis and her daughter trying to like intercept and keep them apart at all times. So Glynis just wants him to become the Prime Minister, and her daughter wants to be like in society as a debutante. And
they launched them in society.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, Daphne comes along and steals the show at the debutante ball, and everyone fancies her then instead. Sorry, Glynis, and your spawn. But she's always felt like half of her is missing, which is sad.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how her mother didn't like follow her over though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe because at the start, like she's 17, she wants to find herself before going to college. Maybe she's just like, I know he's got a big fat mansion and a manor
She'll be grand.
and staff. She'll be fine when she gets there.
If she gets there.
If she gets there.
17.
I know.
This is where I show my age. I'm like, the child.
But you know, the first time I travelled alone, I was 14.
But were you like going to see your dad or something like?
I was going to see my
he
godmother.
Knew you were coming.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Knew you were
I was going
coming.
to see my godmother when I was 14, and there wasn't like that. I think Aer Lingus had gotten rid of the travel companion thing, so I was like, "You're on your own, kid."
Yeah.
You know, but going from America to the UK,
do you know what? I
that's a
can't
way
really
bigger
talk.
journey.
When I was 16, I had a boyfriend in London, and I used to go back and forth all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I don't know how my parents allowed it. How did you allow it, parents? But I
Yeah,
think it was
16.
either that or deal with me.
Yeah,
You know?
true.
Because I think they said like, oh, if you get a job and pay for your own flights, you can go. And I was like, okay,
I'll
I'm
do
gone.
that.
I'm
It's
gone.
done.
Goodbye.
It's done.
And that honestly was my life for like 3 years, back and forth
Wow.
on planes. Yeah, it sounds romantic. It was not.
Do you know what people say that like even with a relationship in the UK and Ireland, like that still qualifies as long distance?
Oh,
You'd
absolutely.
say,
You
yeah.
have to take a plane to see him. Like.
Because getting on the plane, the train,
Yeah,
and the taxi
expensive.
over, like it's kind of like a whole day.
Absolutely.
In
And
a
like
way.
even like you're in the same time zone but you're
Yeah.
living completely different lives. Like
Yeah.
at one point he was in college and I was doing my leaving cert.
Yeah,
You know, it
yeah.
was I don't know how anyone allowed it.
But
it was
mad.
It was a formative time in my life, shall we say. A lot of learning. So there are some really cringy moments, like when Ian is miming to James Brown at the debutante ball.
And you can tell. Oh my God.
It's clearly a middle-aged
like,
man's
this
voice.
is a middle-aged, like black American man's soul
And this
voice.
little white young
and
fella.
this young fella who's about 14. Like,
Oh my God.
there was just no way. Like, I actually live for those cringy moments in films.
Do
Because
you?
when you watch it back as an adult, you get such a laugh.
Yeah.
And then when you were, let's say, 11, 12, watching these kind of films, you thought like, oh my God, this is the dream. This
the
is
coolest.
everything. It's so cool. But now when you watch it back, it's just like going down memory lane.
I know.
Yeah. It's
And I
so
think for me,
funny.
that's like the Princess Diaries.
Yes.
And like the Parent Trap as well.
Yeah.
I'm the exact same age as Lindsay Lohan. We're like a month apart.
No
so
way.
when she was in the Parent Trap, I was still young enough to think that was so cool. Like,
Yeah.
And she was so cool. She played both parts. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's another
I
film.
thought she was a twin for a very
Everyone
long
did.
time. Yeah.
Everyone did. And that's another film about like finding your like love with your parents
Yeah,
as well. Like
yeah.
they get to bring their parents back together. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And then the Princess Diaries is very similar. It's like the couple were split up and kept apart, and then she finds out she's the Princess of Genovia, which
Just
every little
mad.
girl's fantasy.
Mia
like,
Thermopolis.
yeah, and her hair and her eyebrows
I think I prefer the Princess Diaries 2.
with Chris Pine.
Yes. What about you?
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
you
I
the
watched
same.
both of them recently. I was on a bus from Seattle to Vancouver and I had my iPad and the only streamer that worked was Disney Plus.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm going to relive my childhood and watch both of these films.
Yeah, they're so
it's a bit more
good.
grown up, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the appeal now as an adult.
Yeah, I feel like even if you watched Princess Diaries back now,
Yeah.
you wouldn't cringe as much
Well,
at
The
it.
Princess Diaries is by one of my favourite directors of all time, Gary Marshall, right? So he was a real like stalwart of romantic comedies. He's the guy behind like Beaches, the best film ever.
haven't
He
watched
did
that.
Pretty Woman.
Oh, yeah.
He did like Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, all those kind of ensemble
those,
films.
yeah, yeah.
So like he's an expert. So the film, the material was in very good hands. And like it has Julie Andrews in it, the coolest woman of
know.
all time.
I know.
And Anne
It's
Hathaway's
incredible.
a superstar. So like that's why those Disney films work, because it's, and like The Parent Trap is Nancy Meyers, the queen of rom-coms.
Yeah.
So they had really good kind of pedigree, whereas this one didn't.
Yeah.
The right material in the hands of the right director with the right stars.
Yeah.
Like you have to get the script, the chemistry of the stars and the director to all line up. I wrote my dissertation on Stepmom.
Did you?
The maternal melodrama in women's films, all about the death, how the mother dies and the surrogate mother figure has to step in.
You know, that like a movie, that is a movie that makes me cry.
It's designed to.
Like it is brilliant.
I learned so much as a novelist from films as well, from the structure of films, especially romantic films, because that's the kind of girly stuff I write.
Yeah.
So like I know what buttons to press to make people cry now.
Yeah,
and I'm pressing them.
Okay, God. Do you know what? But this one made me cry.
Yeah, I'm sure
As
it's sweet. Like,
it's so cute. Like the end of it.
yeah. So let's talk about the end. So
It's so cute.
basically Henry's life is changing through knowing Daphne, and he realizes that he doesn't want to be this politician. He wants to be more of a free spirit, and he gets rid of Glynis, gets rid of the stepdaughter, and he finds out, well, Daphne finds out what had been done by the baddie, and basically they get rid of him. So you know, Daphne has also decided that like what she's looking for in London isn't filling her up like she thought it would. It's not. She hasn't found the other half of her. She feels like a fish out of water over there.
Yeah, she's changing herself. She looks a bit dead on the inside.
Yeah, and she's going to all these like balls and events and like horse riding and stuff, and it's just not her.
It's not her cup of tea.
Yeah, so she decides eventually to go home, and her dad does the romantic hero thing and follows her, and not only that, brings her boyfriend.
I know,
which is so sound.
I love that. Like he's not threatened. Like he's willing to share his time.
Yeah, he's like, I've just rediscovered her, but like she really fancies this little fella, so I'll bring him over.
I just thought at the end, like what made me kind of cry a little was that her dream was to have that father-daughter dance all the time, and they're working as she was a waitress. Yeah, she's working at a waitress at like wedding services and stuff. So she'd always witnessed that, and that would always remind her of her dad. And then when he comes in the end and like follows her to America, he shows up in the taxi right when they're about to sing the father-daughter dance. Of course. I think it was to Celine Dion, Because You Love Me.
It was.
Oh, which is another song that just makes me bawl. So it was just perfect timing, the way it was all pieced together.
And then he gets off with her mom as well. Yeah. So it's perfect. Everyone gets aware at the end.
And you know what? We need that, Vicki.
We do need it.
We need just a happy ending.
But that's why it works on the adult level, because there is that adult relationship that you understand as well. Yeah. It's like they were kept apart. She was pregnant. The poor woman, like, it was awful. Yeah. And now she's got her guy finally, and they can all live happily ever after. Yeah. It's a fairy tale.
It's mad that it's all forgiven and like they moved in. It's like, where's the therapy?
Yeah, but like, at the same time, it wasn't any of their faults.
Yeah, true.
Once you can assign all the blame to the baddie, you're grand. Just forget about them.
Pick up where we left off.
Yeah, and just forget about them and live our lives. So what I did like about this film was one of my favourite rom-com tropes, which is the hot dad. So I have been documented on this podcast saying I don't really fancy Colin Firth. I just don't. He looks like he cries after sex.
Stop.
He does. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm doubling down on it. Sorry, Colin, doesn't he?
It's like that scene in Sex and the City where your man runs and prays and showers
or
right
washes
after
himself or something. It's something about the stiff upper lip. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, Colin. I'm sure you're a lovely guy. Now, I do think he's more attractive the older he gets.
Yes. Oh, he's looking great now.
I do love a hot dad. So
little silver fox.
My favourite at the moment, because I'm watching Yellowstone, Kevin Costner in Rumour Has It. Have you ever seen Rumour Has It?
No, but I know Kevin Costner.
He plays Jennifer Aniston's dad. Oh, and do you know what? Every time he's acting with a woman and he's playing their dad, like even in Yellowstone, I'm like, this woman fancies him. There's no not fancying him. Like he is.
But then that'd be kind of weird if you're like filming and he is supposed to be your dad. You're like, forbidden fruit.
But imagine, like, it must be so off.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, and Jennifer, I'm watching you.
Like the men of Hollywood have been keeping themselves nice and fit. They're looking great.
I love an old lad.
Yeah,
I prefer an old lad to a young lad.
Oh yeah. I'm with you there. Like whenever Dara finds another grey hair, I'm like, yes. Yes, like his birthday is in 2 weeks and he's going to be 32, so it's like a couple of months where there's 4 years of an age gap between us, and I'm
lovely.
like, amazing,
lovely. Yeah, I'm into Joe getting older as well. It's nice. It is nice.
It's great
because men age well.
Yeah, they do.
Jude Law in The Holiday is another very hot dad.
He looks amazing.
Dennis Quaid in The Parent Trap, although he's a bit of a dope, but all three dads in Mamma Mia.
Yes,
one of which is Colin Firth.
What's your favourite? I think Pierce Brosnan for me.
Pierce. I'm a Pierce girl.
Yeah,
but I also like Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah,
I'm quite an equal opportunities dad fancier. Liam Neeson in Love Actually.
Oh, I love
the
Liam
stepdad
Neeson
in that. Yeah, and Ryan Reynolds in Definitely Maybe. Have you seen Definitely Maybe?
I haven't watched it, no.
It's him and Abigail Breslin, and he's telling her the story of how he met her mother, basically. And it's very sweet.
That's so cute.
Yeah, hot dads. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, are there any hot mom rom-coms? Stifler's mom in American Pie, would we call that a rom-com? Not so much.
Oh, is that Jennifer Coolidge's character? What an icon.
I think the moms are always like over-sexualized.
Yeah.
Whereas the dads are just sweet and romantic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
But a little bit of stubble.
Yeah. Stop, you're getting us going. So, yeah, like I said, it is a movie about dad and daughter love more than anything. And I think that's why you love it.
I love it, yeah. I actually watched it over Christmas with my dad. I spent Christmas in Germany and I watched it with my sisters and my dad. And it's so funny.
Is that why you changed your mind?
Yeah, I think so, because it was so fresh in my mind. And especially when someone asks me what's your favourite movie, song, anything, like
you go blank.
I always panic and go blank because I've consumed so much. It's so hard to like pick one at the top of my mind. But that one was just so fresh in my memory. And with my parents, it's so funny when they watch movies now because like they can understand really like simple plot lines in English movies because obviously growing up in like a multilingual house that they would watch movies in French or Kirundi.
Right.
So when it comes to English, like my mom's favourite movie is Home Alone because she gets it.
Right.
She's like, if I show her like a crazy
with loads of
psychological
dialogue or whatever,
she's like, what the fuck is going on?
And your dad fluent in German as well?
Yes, he is. But with English films, it's like we always put the subtitles on and whatever, and they take their time in watching it. And the movies that they seem drawn to are just like the cute, simple storyline films. So I'm like, that's a film I can watch with my mom and dad, and they'll get it, and they won't ask me a million questions.
Oh my god!
So
how many languages do you speak?
Oh, so obviously I speak English. Like,
obviously.
Kirundi is my mother tongue that I'm like not great at speaking that, but I understand it fully. So my mom would say something to me and I'd reply
I'm like
always
that
in
with
English,
Italian.
and I'm like, how is that in my brain? It's so weird. And then my German is okay.
Yeah.
I only know that from college, but like it's my parents like that. I'm still raging at them to this day that they never bet languages into me. Like,
myself
why?
And my friend Nadia, his dad is Moroccan and speaks Arabic, French, Spanish. She's like, why didn't he? And I'm like, why? My dad barely speaks Italian, so it's like.
But isn't it so like when I pass someone in the street and they're speaking their own language, I am
beautiful.
so jealous.
Beautiful.
I'm like, I'd love to be able to like have a secret conversation.
Duolingo.
Yeah.
I'm honestly trying to improve my French at the moment on Duolingo.
I love that.
It's great, but it's hard. Like as an adult, it's hard to learn new languages.
Do you ever watch French movies or TV shows on Netflix?
Yeah, I mean, the sexy ones.
Yeah.
There's a Spanish one, a sexy one. It's like 365 days or something.
Oh, no,
it's Italian.
That one is, I think that's Italian. The Spanish one, for a good show, you should watch Cable Girls.
Cable Girls.
But for French, you should watch Lupin. Ooh. It's so good. Ooh. It is so good. Or what's another film? You know, the one that Kevin Hart and... Oh, what's his name? I'm so bad with names. But it's the storyline where a guy has gone through a really bad accident. He's paralysed and he needs like a full-time carer.
Okay.
And Kevin Hart...
Oh, it's a serious film for Kevin Hart, is it?
It's like a kind of serious but then kind of lighthearted film in the end. So Kevin Hart is his full-time carer, like has to clean him, like spend time with him, everything, and he's really rich. Do any of you guys? The Upside. Now there's a French version of that.
It's a remake.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
Our little film savant over here knows all of it.
That's one of my favourite films.
Because I do enjoy
The Untouchables.
Not the Kevin Costner Untouchables.
Yeah. No, but The Untouchables, you should watch that in French with English subtitles and you will love it.
Because my degree in film studies, I did a lot of watching subtitled videos back then and DVDs.
Yeah.
So now with the advent of streaming, I can watch sexy foreign films all the time. I love it.
Switch
amazing.
up the language.
And come here, you did change your film because you were originally going to do Crazy Stupid Love.
I love that movie.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Like
I just thought maybe someone else had picked it, or maybe it was basic.
It was Joe's other film.
Oh,
so,
was it?
Yeah, so
I love that movie.
It is good. And would we call Steve Carell a sexy dad in it? Maybe not.
He does kind of look good towards the end when he gets his little makeover.
He does. He's wearing very 2009 clothes in it. Yeah, but we'll forgive him that.
But I love that movie. Another film I was thinking about was Hitched.
Love Hitch.
It was the first movie I watched in the cinema. Very good.
Eva Mendes.
It's just such a gorgeous storyline.
She's
set
a journalist.
in New York. Yeah.
He's a dating guru. The scene that I remember is that he eats something he's allergic to and his face blows up.
Yes, it's so funny.
It's so slapstick. Like a lot of those kind of naughties rom-coms were so physically comic. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just about the love. Yeah. I really think modern rom-coms need to like look back at what worked. Yeah. And just figure it out.
I can't tell you that I've watched like a really good rom-com recently.
It's dire.
Not really memorable. You need to write them. You do.
Would you act at all now? I can see you acting.
I don't know. Like I feel like because I feel like acting is so different to like when the camera's on for telly presenting.
Well, when you're reading off an auto cue, it's slightly different.
Yeah, because you're looking right at
the camera.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of presenters, Laura Whitmore is acting now. A lot of presenters.
I watched her in 222 Ghost Story. She was very good.
See, this is what
I'd never say never. Okay. Maybe in a tween movie, who knows?
Who knows? Well, if Netflix ever call me to make one of my books into a film, I'm calling you.
As the tween mom. I'll be the hot mom by then.
I love it. Amazing. So how many cheesy popcorns out of 5 are you going to give What a Girl Wants?
So 5 being the
best.
the cheesiest.
The cheesiest.
It's the cheesiest of cheese. It is like a cheese toasty.
I think it's a 5 out of 5.
It's a 5 out of 5.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you're looking for cheese and you don't really want to pay full attention, you don't want to think.
You want to be on your phone a little bit.
Yeah, you want to go down memory lane a little bit.
Perfect.
The 90s, early 2000s nostalgia. That's your
movie.
Yeah.
Katja Mia, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.